Hello and welcome to my channel. This is April with inkycreationswithapril.com. I'm so glad you stopped by. Let's get started. Hello, welcome to the Altenew Certified Educators video hop. This month our theme is Anything Goes. Please make sure to check the description below for all the information about the video hop and the giveaways that are included, as well as who is next on this video hop. You won't want to miss any of the videos. There is some really great inspiration waiting for you. Okay, so today we're going to use the stamp wheel and we're going to make us a fun card. We're going to use the Primrose Build a Flower. This is an older set, and as you can tell, it's well loved. I love this set. I love these flowers. Basically, I went through to try to find something that would work for the wreath I want to create with the flowers. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to get started with a piece of 5.5 by 5.5 square. I could have totally started with an A2 piece, but this is what works in my head. And this also allows you a little bit more creativity. You could do a square card, you could do an A2 card, but in the end I end up doing an A2 card. But let's get started and see how I make this wreath. I'm just going to center this right in the middle. There are alignment guides. I do not have them. Every time I order them, they sell out. They sell out very quickly. So I'm just going to take a second and get this right in the middle of my... Okay, so I have my 5.5 by 5.5 piece of heavyweight cardstock here in the center of my stamp wheel. Without the alignment guides, I just eyeball it and then measure it, make sure it's even on all the sides. I will keep trying to get those alignment guides. They just sell out super fast. So I'm going to grab the flowers that I want to use. And we're going to start with our outline flower here. And I'm going to get this situated up in the top corner of my stamp wheel. So now that I have it where I want it, I've arranged it. I've used my alignment guides here that are on the plastic top plate here. And I've just made sure my flower is centered and that the petals are right here at this innermost circle. So I'm going to alternate between the caramel toffee and the crystal violet. And once we have this first layer down, we do not have to alternate. We can do one color at a time. I just want to make sure everything is stamped exactly where I want it and my wreath is looking the exact way I want it to look. So I'm going to go 2 notches over, and my florals will overlap just a little bit, and that's fine. That's part of what I think makes the wreath look really great, because it's all connected. So, and yes, you can count, but the great thing is you can see through this top plate, so you can really just eyeball and make sure you're getting all your images where you want them to be. Okay, so we have finished with the outline layer of our stamp set, and we've created the base of our wreath. So let's move on to the next layer. And we're going to find the solid piece and put it into place. So again, this is where the layering guide comes in super handy to be able to tell you which layers to do, in which order, and also how to look to line them up. So I do refer to those a lot. So this is going to take me just a sec to get lined up. And then I'm going to use my lightest color of inks. So I'm going to start with the buttercream, and then I will do the water hyacinth. But now that I have my base created, I can do one color at a time. So I'm going to start with buttercream. And get that stamped into place and just continue doing all of the yellow ones. So I just eyeball it. Because you can see through the plate, you can see exactly where you need to be putting it. Okay, so I have all my yellow done. So I'll put the buttercream aside, grab the water hyacinth. I've cleaned my stamp. And we'll just start stamping this beautiful blue. I love this blue. It's a gorgeous color. And get all of these stamped with this light blue before we do our next layer. Okay, I used my alignment guide and I got this next detail layer. We have a couple detail layers here, and I got the first one all put into place using my layering guide. And now we're going to use a medium tone of our colors, and I'm going to start with the warm sunshine. And I'll just do all of the warm sunshine first and then come back in and do my blue flowers. Okay, I have all of the yellow detail layer done here. And with that warm sunshine, I cleaned my stamp, and I'm going to grab the Alpine Aster and we'll do our blue layer. Okay, the Alpine Aster is done. We just have one little detail layer left to do on our wreath. And it's a little tiny one. And I will again use my layering guide to get that lined up exactly how I need it. Okay, we have that in place. And now I'm going to go back to my darker shades, my caramel toffee and my crystal violet. And add that last little bit of detail. Okay, we're done with the caramel toffee. We're going to use the crystal violet and finish our wreath. Okay, so our wreath is completely done, and in full disclosure, I did take this panel off and I took a heat tool to it to heat set that last little detail layer. This blue, the crystal violet, is super juicy, and if I didn't heat set it, it would pick up some of my embossing powder, even if I prepare it with an anti-static powder. So I just wanted to get that heat set so that I could move on to doing our sentiment. So I'm just gonna prep this with some anti-static powder. So I am just going to use sentiments from our stamp set. There are a ton of them in there, just like Altenew always does. So I'm gonna use You Are Amazing. And I'm just gonna get this layered up right here in the middle of my card. Placed in the middle of my card. Okay, once I have it right where I want it, I can put my top plate back down, pick up those stamps, and we are just going to use some Obsidian Pigment Ink. It is perfect for embossing, and just some of the crystal clear crisp embossing powder. So we're going to ink that up really good. Flip the plate over, pop that right into place, gently press on it, and I do not need to stamp it twice. So I will very carefully take this off, grab my embossing powder, and pour that right over my sentiment. So if you happen to have any little stragglers, I see some right here in the center of my flower. I'm just going to take a dry paintbrush and remove that. Okay, and then I'll heat set this and I'll be right back. This is all heat set, and I just poured the extra from that coffee filter back into my container. And I'm going to set this aside so we can use our stamp wheel one more time before we're done with it. Okay, off camera, I went ahead and just stamped using the same process we did before to layer up one extra of these little yellow flowers here. But I also have us a leaf ready to go. And we're going to stamp him in some crisp dye inks. I don't have, I only have like a couple greens, and they weren't quite what I was looking for in the fresh dye ink. So I grabbed some of my crisp dye inks, and I'm going to do this outline layer with Shadow Crick. And I want 2 of these. So I can rotate this and just make me another one right here. I just want to make sure I've left room to be able to die cut these. And just using it just like a stamp positioner now. So I'll just add this next layer here. You don't really, this is on the layering guide, but you really don't need it to figure out where your layers go. So I'm going to use the grass fields for this layer. This last detail layer, I'm just going to go back to the darkest color, the Shadow Crick, and add this quick detail to my 2 leaves. And as they dry, these dye inks do smooth out, which I love that about dye inks. And put those aside. And we are all done with our stamp set now. And we are all done with the stamp wheel. So I'll take this out and I'll just put my stamp wheel aside. It does have some little sticky feet here that help hold it to your surface. That's a great feature. I'm going to die cut these using my mini blossom, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have my flower and 2 little leaves cut out using the coordinating dies. I'm just going to set these aside. And then we're going to get a background panel going here for us to put our wreath on. And I'm going to create my own cardstock so it coordinates with it. I'm just going to use the fresh dye ink and Alpine Aster. And all I'm going to do is run it along the edges. Just like that. And that is all it takes. I don't need to do the center and waste ink there because it's just going to be covered up with my wreath panel. But this is really dark, but it actually dries back quite a bit. I'm going to set this aside while we do a couple things to our background panel, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so since we started with a 5.5 by 5.5 square piece of cardstock, I need to trim mine down because I just want a smaller portion of this. I'm going to end up with a 3 3/4 by 5 inch panel. Okay, so I've trimmed it to, again, be 5 inches by 3 3/4. I'm going to take and put some foam tape on the back of this. I like to use a lot of foam tape. And you can see I messed up on a wreath here. I just repurposed and used the other side. No reason to let something go to waste. So we're going to grab this panel here. And it is still drying, but that's fine. And we're going to go ahead and pop this panel up right there. Okay, so here we have our panel popped up with some foam tape on the back of that colored cardstock that we created. And I'm just going to use a little tiny piece of foam tape here to pop up our flower. And I want my flower to go right over this one here in the corner. So I'm just gonna figure out which way it goes. And I like to take and put just a little bit of liquid adhesive on the back of my foam tape so I can have just a little bit of wiggle room to make sure everything is exactly where I want it to be. So now I have my couple leaves here, and I'm just going to tuck them, and I'm going to cut them to fit how I want them to fit. Because I do have some foam tape under there, so I may just have to cut it till I get it exactly the way I want it to be. And I'm just going to put just a little bit of adhesive underneath there and hold that into place. And then my other one is actually, I'm going to have it go quite a ways off this white panel, and it's just going to tuck right in and just hang off just a tiny bit off of our card, which is fine. Just need to put on a little bit of embellishment. I'm going to use these enamel dots. These are the Fall Harvest enamel dots from Altenew. And I'm going to use this orange, yellow orange here. And I tend to just use a craft pick and pick them up and kind of place them where I want them to be. I'll get these in place. And we're almost done with our card. Okay, I have my last enamel dot in place. And the last thing I need to do is just glue it to a top folded card base. And there is our finished card. So please, again, make sure to check that description box down below to find out who is next on our hop and to read all about the giveaway. And thank you for hopping along with us. And I hope you enjoyed this card today. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. See you next time.